You are listening to your New Puppies podcast, starting you and your dog off on the right paw. Here's your host, Debbie Salento.
Hello and welcome to episode 82 of your New Puppies podcast. I'm Debbie, and today I want to talk about your dog's microchip. So this is a little different than what I usually talk about because I'm not going to talk about dog behavior or anything like that, but I am going to talk about your dog's safety, which is a topic I touch on a lot in this podcast. So the reason why I want to talk about microchips is because June is National Microchipping Month, in case you didn't know. And the main function of them is if your dog ever gets lost, you have a much higher chance of them being returned to you. And July 5th happens to be the busiest day for shelters in the US. And that is because July 4th is Independence Day. And the main way we celebrate is with fireworks. And 1 in 4 dogs have some kind of firework phobia. So they get spooked, they break out of the yard, they break away from their humans, they might even break out of their collar. And the next day, people are calling shelters. Shelters are dealing with lost dogs, picking up lost dogs, all of that. So what I want to talk about here is one of the few tools that we have as a safety net to get our dogs back if we ever lose them. So first, what is a microchip? It's this tiny itty bitty thing, smaller than a grain of rice, that is embedded underneath your dog's skin. And all it has on it is this 15-digit number that you can register, and we're going to talk about how to do that, with all of your information on it. Okay? It's not a GPS device. You can't scan it with your phone. It's just not that sophisticated. It is just pretty much, I've heard it described as like a barcode that can be scanned by a microchip scanner. And what's nice about it, it's like a permanent collar. Your dog can't lose it. And we've been using these microchips for at least 20 years because that's how long ago my first dog was microchipped. So they've been proven to be safe and effective when we use them right. Because the point of them is, say our dog gets lost. We do everything we can for that not to happen, but it happens quite often. And if somebody finds your dog, they can take them to a shelter, a vet, any emergency place like a police station or a fire station, and they all have these microchip scanners. In fact, you can get your own on Amazon if you really like. It's just this basic device that just is able to pick up that 15-digit code. And that 15-digit code is unique to your dog, and it can be looked up and find your contact information. And this is where you come in because we have to make sure that contact information is registered and updated because the majority of dogs that are found with microchips still can't be returned simply because the information is out of date. So I'm here today to correct that with you. I'm going to give you some steps to follow to make sure that we have a microchips that is properly registered. And what I'm going to talk about is, US based, because there's some websites you're going to have to go to and search. And it might be different if you are in a different country. In fact, I know UK and Canada, maybe other places, other countries require microchips. You can be fined if your dog is found without one. And there are cities within the US that have their own regulations and laws regarding microchipping your dog because it's that important and that effective in returning your dog if they ever get lost. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is figure out if your dog's microchipped. You might already know the answer to this. If you don't know, a lot of times if you have paperwork from either the rescue or the breeder, it will tell you. A lot of them, in my experience, automatically microchip your dog. Like your dog comes to you microchipped. So it's probably in that paperwork. But if you still don't know, if you don't have it, you're not sure, all you have to do is bring your dog to a vet, a rescue, I think even a pet store, and ask them to scan your dog. And if they're microchipped, it's going to come up, and now you have the microchip number, okay? If it doesn't come up, then the answer is no, they're not microchipped. If they're not microchipped, any of those same places, I recommend your vet can microchip them for you. It's super easy and simple and, like I said, very safe. And then you'll have the number. So once you have the number, you want to register it. You may have already done this. If you know that you registered it and you know where you registered it, then just go and log onto your account and just make sure your information is up to date. Your phone number and email address is usually what they ask for. If you know it's not registered, then I'm going to tell you how to register it. And maybe you know that you registered it, but you're not sure where, or you're just not sure at all. Because the catch to this whole thing is that there's multiple places you can register the microchip. A lot of different websites, a lot of different companies has just jumped on board, and you can register your pet at any one of them. Some popular ones are Home Again, AKC Reunite, 24 Pet Watch. Some of them are free. Some of them charge, $20 to register your dog. All of them will try to sell you more products, higher packages, which you may or may not want, but you probably don't need if all you're doing is trying to register your dog to make sure if they ever get lost and their microchip is scanned, they can be returned to you. Somebody will contact you. So I have a website from the Animal Humane Society that lists a whole bunch of these websites that you can go to and register. You only need to pick one. I'll link to it in the show notes. And so that's the other catch, that if you're not sure if your dog's registered, or if you don't remember where you registered them, there is another website, which is very useful, called petmicrochiplookup.org. And what that will do is you can put your dog's number in to their website, and it will list the company that chip is registered with. And then from there, you have to go to that website to log into your account, update your information, okay? The other little catch is it is possible that your rescue or your breeder has already registered the chip to them as kind of like a safety guard, because a lot of people don't get around to registering their microchip. So at least their information is attached to the dog. If that's the case, you will probably have to call the company. So for example, if your local rescue used Home Again, which I think is what most of them do around me at least, you might have to call either Home Again, the microchip company, or the rescue itself to get it transferred over to you. It is an extra step, but you only have to do this once, and then you're good. And then you have the information, and it's one of those things that we hope we never need, but if we do, we're going to be so happy that we did this. Okay, so let's just review that one more time, because it seemed complicated, but it's really not. It's just because it depends on what your situation is. First we have to figure out, is our dog microchipped? If they're not, easy peasy. We go to the vet, we get our dogs microchipped, we come home and we register that number with the company of our choice. Again, I will have a website with the list of them in the show notes. It's really just an article from the Animal Humane Society. If your dog is microchipped and you don't know the number, you can take them, again, to your vet, to your local shelter, to the pet store, and they can scan your dog and find the microchip for you, okay? If you already know all this information because you have it in the paperwork, great. And then once you have the microchip number, register them, or make sure your information is updated if you've already done that. If you don't know where your pet's registered, then you go to petmicrochiplookup.org. Put in their number and they would tell you which company it is registered with, and then you have to go to their website and follow their instructions on updating your information. That's really it. So take 10 minutes and sit down and do this. It will be worth it if you ever need it. Now, this whole time I was talking about your dog because this is Your New Puppies podcast. But this is for any pet that you have, especially if you have cats. Do this for cats because cats are more likely to get lost than dogs. Okay? You could also do it for rabbits, guinea pigs, horses, like any pet that you have, you can do this same process with. And I recommend that you do. Okay, so those 2 resources I'm going to put in the show notes. It's just an article from the Animal Humane Society where they list the different microchipping companies that you can go and just choose one. Again, some are free, some have a small fee. Most will try to sell you more than you need. Just know that the cost should be minimal, if not zero, to simply register the microchip. And then the other one is the petmicrochiplookup.org, which is a place where you can put in the microchip number and it will tell you where it's registered. In fact, if somebody finds your dog and brings them to any animal or emergency place, scan it, get the microchip number, and they use that site to find which company it is. And then they reach out to the company you're registered with to say, hey, we found this dog. Can you call these people and tell them we have it? That's how it works. So the average person on the street isn't going to see your dog's microchip and know all your personal information. That's not how it works. Plus, it's no more information that you wouldn't just put on their tags anyway. And that's it. That's all I have for you today. If you are enjoying this podcast, you can rate and review it wherever you listen, and that helps other dog owners find the podcast. If you would like to continue training with me, I have both in-person and virtual packages. You can check those out at playtimepaws.com and just click on services. Otherwise, I thank you so much for listening. I'll speak with you soon. Bye for now.